Question to Annabel Goldie.
To ask the First Minister when he will next meet the Prime Minister.
First Minister.
No immediate plans to meet the Prime Minister.
First, Annabel Goldie.
Presiding Officer, on the Scottish Government website under the banner Ready Winter, it tells the nation, and I quote, "Even the worst effects of winter can be reduced by a few simple steps, such as being more aware of the weather forecast, especially weather warnings." A pity the Transport Minister didn't follow his own advice. But also, on that website, we find a report entitled Scottish Road Network on the events of last winter. Published back in August, it tells us that there was to be a wider review of the resilience of Scottish transport, which will be published in the autumn. Now that we're in the grip of winter, can I ask the First Minister, where is that review? Was it published? Because nobody can find it.
First Minister.
As Annabel Goldie should know, the key aspect of the review was to increase the resilience of salt and grit stocks around Scotland, and of course that was one of the actions that have been taken. But can I turn to her questions?
Mr Brown, order.
Forecasting. I have some information here which perhaps will be of interest to Annabel Goldie. In terms of weather warnings and flashes, such as the ones that were made indeed last Sunday night, we have in Scotland, in 2010, we've had 130 such weather flashes, 96 for ice, 130 for snow. In a Scottish winter, even a normal Scottish winter, these are a significant and common occurrence. That was not what we faced last Monday. It wasn't the orange warning of a weather flash that we get regularly. It was an extraordinary circumstance of weather conditions. In Scotland each year, the Met Office put forward 4 red flashes in their system. They are to look at exceptional events. My view is that last Monday was an exceptional event. And the argument and issue about the forecasting is not to suggest that forecasting is perfect, but to explain the combination of circumstances that put the Scottish Government, the emergency services, Traffic Scotland, every single person trying to deal with the emergency in a difficult position. And that is why, in contrast to her highly constructive attitude of last week, I really think that Annabel Goldie should at least come forward with some suggestions, constructive issues, as to how that resilience can be improved.
Annabel Goldie.
Presiding Officer, it is absolutely unbelievable that initiatives mooted by the Scottish Government because of the atrocious conditions of last winter cannot even be delivered on by the Scottish Government to deal with the challenges of this winter. Now, in the light of what the First Minister has just said, Presiding Officer, yesterday the Scottish Government spent the day pretending there had been no severe weather warnings issued on Sunday night. But last night, we caught them red-handed. They also spent yesterday claiming, as the First Minister said, that the actual fresh snowfall was twice or 3 times the prediction. Presiding Officer, the Met Office warned of up to 10 centimetres of fresh snow across the Central Belt. My office has spoken to them overnight, and they have confirmed that the actual fresh snowfall on Monday was between 5 and 10 centimetres across the Central Belt. Frankly, Presiding Officer, how can anyone believe anything this government says about this crisis anymore? And Scotland is losing patience and confidence in the Transport Minister. He has been complacent, he has been negligent, and he has been belligerent. So can I ask the First Minister, are these essential components for being a Scottish Government Minister, or just optional extras?
First Minister.
I would have hoped that Annabel Goldie, after the statement yesterday and the detail that was given, would at least have paid attention to the key aspects in that detail. The National Severe Weather Warning issued in 1601 predicted 2.5 centimetres of snow, 10 centimetres in the higher areas and hills. The 2041 flash warning forecast was 2 to 5 centimetres of snow, 10 centimetres in the hills and higher areas, not across, as she put it, central Scotland. What the Met Office, who sit as part of the Resilience Committee, have confirmed to us, absolutely, there were 5 centimetres in Glasgow, 10 centimetres in Edinburgh, but 12 centimetres in Livingston and 20 centimetres in Lanarkshire. Now, unfortunately for us and unfortunately for Scotland, key aspects of our motorway network don't just occur in Glasgow and Edinburgh, but go through West Lothian and Lanarkshire. These were exceptional, extraordinary conditions, which the Met Office itself at 10:30 last Monday said were greater than was forecast. Now, we have never said that forecasting can be a perfect science. That's not the point we're making. What we're trying to suggest is that these extraordinary weather circumstances should at least be acknowledged when people think of the response that was put into place. And my view is that whatever the failings in communication, and there were failings in communication, we had on the ground an extraordinary response from the emergency services, from gritters, from the combination of public and service personnel who were working hard to help their fellow citizens in distress. And I hold to that position because I saw that position in myself, and the government acknowledges the contribution of these people.
Question 3, Tavish Scott.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the First Minister when he will next meet the Secretary of State for Scotland.
First Minister.
No plans in the immediate future, but no doubt we'll be able to discuss the outcome of the consideration of the Scotland Bill.
Tavish Scott.
Presiding Officer, I'm sure the First Minister now appreciates the frustration and anger of hundreds of Scottish motorists and truck drivers trapped for very long periods in snow and ice on central Scotland's road network this week. To learn what went wrong and know his government are putting that right is what Scottish drivers expect him to do. So when he said on Radio Scotland yesterday morning the forecast told us it would be a normal winter day in Scotland, why then is the Met Office stating that they gave his government further updated and more severe weather warnings on Sunday evening? He stated today, right just this very minute, that his government did receive those severe weather warnings at 8:40 and 8:49 p.m. on Sunday evening. Why then did the Transport Minister's statement to Parliament yesterday not include those significant facts?
First Minister.
The Transport Minister's statement to Parliament, and let me just clarify, the Met Office forecast on Sunday morning that went to the Resilience Committee was told us to expect normal winter conditions on the Monday. That was changed at 16:01 as the Transport Minister indicated. A national severe weather warning came out. That forecast 2 to 5 centimetres of snow, 10 centimetres in the higher areas. In 2041, a further flash warning was forecast, suggesting 2 to 5 centimetres of snow, 10 centimetres in the higher areas. That was immediately put on the Traffic Scotland website. The Transport Minister also pointed out that at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, the Met Office was suggesting 2 to 5 centimetres of snow, 10 centimetres in the higher areas. Yes, that is a significant snowfall, but it is not unusual, that level of snowfall in Scotland. My constituency, I suspect, experienced at least that yesterday. I suspect that Tavish Scott's constituency did as well. What was unusual about the snowfall on Monday was it was far greater than 2 to 5 centimetres or 10 centimetres in the higher areas. It was 12 centimetres in Livingston, 20 in Lanarkshire, and according to the President of COSLA, and every reason to believe him, in East Kilbride, it touched 30 centimetres. Now that is the reality. It was an exceptional weather event, and thank goodness so many people on the ground performed exceptionally to help their fellow citizens in distress.
Tavish Scott.
I think, Presiding Officer, Parliament had an expectation that we would be told those figures and we would have that information that now comes out in relation to the Sunday evening weather warnings. Doesn't the First Minister appreciate that the forecasters were trying to do their best to help government and motorists with accurate forecasts? Alex Hill from the Met Office said the forecast was right in timing, the forecast was right in location, and we upped the amounts as we went through the entire period. We got the information to them. Isn't it clear that the government did receive a great deal more information on severe weather the evening before it hit Scotland than they have said up until now? Shouldn't the government's contingency planning have ensured that these warnings became clear, unambiguous motoring advice overnight Sunday, early Monday, not to travel in central Scotland? And so that Scottish motorists know for next week, when winter weather is set to return, how deep does forecast snow have to be before the government will act on a severe weather warning?
Briefly, First Minister,
Let's
please.
be quite accurate. I have not attacked forecasters for forecasters which underestimated what actually happened. What Stuart Stevenson quoted yesterday, and what I'll quote again to Tavish Scott today, because it's not my view, It's the Met Office view, not before the event, but after the event had started. 10:37 on Monday morning, after the snow was falling down, the Met Office said, quote, "Given more significant snow accumulations than were expected yesterday across eastern parts of the central belt of Scotland." That was on Monday at 10:37, accepting that what was actually happening was greater than was forecast. Now, this argument is not, in my view, about attacking anyone. It's actually about trying to understand why our transport resilience was put under such extreme pressure. My view is it was a combination of circumstances which hopefully will occur once in a generation, but I suspect that the lesson out of what has happened is that the resilience of this country now has to be to expect these extraordinary weather events on a regular basis. And on that, I hope that this Parliament and all parties can start to identify what needs to be done to improve the infrastructure and ability of Scotland to withstand the extremities of the climate. But that won't be achieved if, when we see the extremities of the climate, that people don't agree and accept that what happened on Monday, as every person who experienced it on the ground knows, was truly